So you're applying for citizenship or you're in the process of getting your citizenship. How the current Trump policies will impact your current pending case or a new case if you're thinking about applying for US citizenship. Hello everybody and welcome back to Immigration Channel. In this video, we're going to analyze how the current Trump administration policies could impact N-400 applications, those applications for citizenship for current people that are pending or for new applicants that are thinking about applying for citizenship. We're talking about all the things, the backlogs, the changes, the increased investigations, and all the things that are coming in 2025 that will and could impact all the pending N-400 applications. Make sure you watch this video until the end. I'm going to go over all the things that will be super important for you if you're starting your citizenship application process or you're currently in the mix, waiting for your interview, waiting for that appointment, and are super worried about it. I'll go over all the things you need to know. We're also going to talk about potential new changes to the citizenship test and to this entire process, including fees and all the things that you need to know. So as I mentioned, make sure you watch this video all the way until the end. So let's get started. What is the current N-400 process look like? As you know, for you to be able to apply for citizenship, you have to be 18 years old or older. You have to maintain the residency requirement. For example, if you're applying based on marriage to a U.S. citizen, you have to be a green card holder for 3 years and at least half of that time physically present inside the United States. If you're applying for citizenship through any other way and must have continuous, you had to have a green card for 5 years and must have continuous physical presence inside the United States for at least half of that time. You have to be a person of good moral character, which means that, any criminal issues or any fraud or misrepresentation that happened in the 5 years preceding to the application could impact your application. And finally, you have to be somebody that paid their taxes on time every year, and you should not owe any child support. If you meet any of these requirements, you will be eligible to apply for citizenship in 2025, and also, of course, pay the application fee, which currently is $725. The big thing to remember right now is that the average processing time for N-400 in the United States beginning of 2025 is 10 months. Now, many cases are getting those applications much faster. If you remember, at the end of 2024, between October and late November of 2024, people were actually getting their interviews in less than 4 weeks in some states. Obviously, that was crazy. That was done for to make sure that more people will be able to vote in the elections. But right now, it's kind of going back to normal. It's about 8 to 10 months on average. But that all could change throughout this year, and I'll tell you why based on the upcoming changes. And also, if you remember, under the previous administration, they used to have the simplified test and the filing fees remained at the same rate, $725. Now, what is going to happen moving forward this year? Before we talk about what we think is going to happen under this administration based on things that are happening right now, let's go back 2017, 2020 and see what happened back then under the Trump administration with respect to N-400 applications. First of all, they imposed stricter eligibility as to who could apply for citizenship. And the way we've seen that was actually when people applied for citizenship, going through the interview process, much more denials between 2017 and 2019 under the previous administration. We've also seen stricter vetting back at the time, and the travel bans that were imposed also created not only just backlogs, but also a lot of concern with green card holders to apply for citizenship, but also worried about traveling back and forth during that time. During the previous Trump administration, they also changed the civic test, they changed the exam, they increased the number of questions, and they made the exam much more complicated. Obviously, all this changed under the new administration back then, but that revised, more complicated test might be back again in this new administration. The end result was that we've seen a 14% increase in filing fees during the first Trump administration and 20% longer processing times for N-400 applications. Now, is this going to happen this time? Possibly. We already see a much more stricter enforcement. You can see more Homeland Security investigations at citizenship applications, and you can see already that they are eliminating judges, immigration officer, and consular officer from processing these applications. And guess what the end result is? That you're going to see longer processing times, specifically in N-400 applications as well. So before we talk about the potential changes that are going to happen in 2025 and beyond, I want to mention that if you're here for the first time, please subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos, and also give us a big like so YouTube will be able to show these videos to more people just like you. As always, if you need help with your immigration matters, send me a text to 619-483-4549 or go to www.immigrationasap.com. Leave your details there and one of our team members will contact you ASAP. Now, let's go back to the video. So, what are some of the potential changes that we're going to be seeing in 2025? First of all, you're going to see stricter eligibility for N-400. And that is going to be seen when you go to the interviews. Because remember, the final decision lies with the officer at the interview. You're going to see more of these officers going back into your green card history, more of these officers, questioning you whether you are actually eligible, and maybe issuing more requests for evidence before making a final decision. I'll give you an example. We had a case where somebody applied for citizenship after marriage. He was married to a US citizen. Then they got divorced, and 7 years later, he applied for citizenship. And guess what happened at his citizenship interview? They questioned him as if it was a marriage green card. They questioned him about his wife, about his marriage, about why they got divorced, how they got together in the first place. They found a lot of inconsistencies in his green card application versus what he told them now. And finally, his case was put on hold for over a year, and they had conducted a home visit. They came to his house and they started questioning him. Hey, we want you to show us documents from your previous case. Clearly, he called my office and we interfered and we spoke to the officers. But the fact is that they investigated his citizenship case as if it was a regular marriage case. And this is a trend that is happening all over the country. So remember, if you're going for your citizenship interview and you applied for this citizenship based on your green card, which was based on marriage to a citizen, be prepared to be questioned about that marriage at your citizenship interview. This is happening all over the country, and it's one of the biggest red flags that they have if your answers are inconsistent with what is in your green card file. So be careful about that and come prepared for that interview. The next thing is that they're going to be doing extensive background checks on applicants who are applying for citizenship. And those background checks are going to increase the processing times of your N-400 application. So if you are attending an interview and you don't get results after the interview, that means that your case went to a background check. That might take months and months to get resolved. And we're going to see more and more of that happening in 2025 and beyond. Now, let's talk about the good moral character requirement. When you go to the interview and they ask you questions about, were you arrested for this or that, even if you're not convicted, things like that will become an issue at the good moral character determination. They're going to be expanding that. They're going to take minor offenses like maybe shoplifting and making it a big deal in terms of your eligibility to apply for citizenship. So the definition of good moral character could be expanded. They're going to make it more complicated for people to apply or qualify and make the process of eventually getting the citizenship even more complicated and lengthy. So be mindful if you had any offenses, if you had any other things that happened to you 5 years prior to your application, even if you're not convicted, please consult your immigration attorney to determine if that's going to be an issue on your good moral character determination, which is a big factor when applying for citizenship. So again, you'll see longer processing times and the test is going to get more difficult, from going from 100 questions to 128 questions, just like they did Trump administration. So be mindful of that. And if you're ready to apply for citizenship, do it now before these big changes. Now let's talk about ICE collaboration during these N-400 interviews. Or the interview process. So ICE, as you know, is the enforcement agency of immigration. So when you go to your N-400 interview, if you have certain violations that determine you inadmissible or ineligible for your N-400 application, ICE could be notified. They will either go and start questioning you as a green card holder, or in extreme cases, could detain you during the interview. And a good example of that is an applicant that applied for their N-400 application. And during that interview, they determined that when they applied for the green card, they've done so by fraud and misrepresentation. They used fake documents to get the green card. They determined that during the N-400 because they investigated the case further. And guess what? During the N-400 interview, they called ICE, and ICE came and detained the green card holder because they determined that he committed fraud and misrepresentation. So much more collaboration between ICE and immigration during this application for green cards, but also for application for N-400. So be mindful of that as well. And finally, I think you're going to see more denials for minor things like failing to pay your taxes, whereas before they'll issue a request for evidence or a notice of intent to deny. Now we're going to see more people get actually flat right denied just because of these things like failure to pay full taxes or owing taxes, or things like before we'd be getting requests for evidence or allowing the applicant to withdraw their application. Now you'll see flat out denials. And I'm telling you, it's coming. So what can you do to be prepared in 2025? First of all, apply early. If you qualify right now and you meet all the requirements, do not delay your application. Right now, things are still fast. You still have the old test. There's still still not investigating people as much as they will. Apply now and come prepared. Have all the documents ready. If you had any violations or anything like that, make sure you speak with an attorney before you apply. Even if you do it on your own, make sure you consult an attorney if you had any violations. Remember, keep records of everything. Bring your taxes, bring all the documents that you prepared in advance, put them in a file and have them ready for your application, because who knows what the officer is going to ask you at the interview. And the most important thing is that keep track of any changes in the law, updates, watch videos like that so you know what's going to happen and you'll be prepared. And when you go to the interview, the officer is going to be, wow, you are ready. How did you know all these things? Always stay ahead of the curve. So in conclusion, what we think is going to happen is that prices are going to increase. They might change the test. You're going to see more backlogs because of all the things that are doing right now. And if you are applying and you had any minor violations, this could be impacting your case either under the good moral character determination or completely under the discretion. They'll be able to deny your case completely. So be aware of those things. And most importantly, come prepared, have all the documents ready, and consult an attorney if you're worried before going to the interview. As always, guys, thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And if you need help with your immigration matter, send me a text 619-483-4549 or go to www.immigrationsap.com. Leave your details and one of our team members will contact you ASAP. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.